Industry sources indicate that consumer durable companies have witnessed decline in sales in Q1 anywhere between 25 to 30%, specifically in the months of April and May. And June has witnessed a 15 to 20% growth. This is on a low base and delayed monsoons. To discuss this and more, we are joined by Nilesh Gupta, who is the director at Vijay Sales. He is joining us to discuss the demand trends, what's happening in the industry, and is this decline a big problem and expected to continue as well? Mr. Gupta, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. Well, as I pointed out earlier, industry sources are indicating that sales have declined, in fact, in April and May, but some recovery is seen in June. Your take, what is leading to this cut in sales, and is this a trend that you expect to continue into Q2 as well?
So good afternoon, everybody. I think there has been a little misunderstanding. There has been a sale drop, but that is only related to the summer products, basically air conditioners and coolers, and a little bit on refrigerators, primarily because of the unseasonal rainfall which we saw throughout the country during April and May. But otherwise, all the other categories are going well. So there is no worry on the consumer front. It's not that we should be worried that the consumer psyche is not to buy or delay their purchases. It was only a seasonal thing. But the biggest silver lining is, since monsoon got delayed, we haven't seen monsoon even now in the West. And so we have seen a real uptake in the air conditioners also this month, and which also indicates that the consumer spending is not a problem. And I don't see any challenge in the Q2. Most probably because of the unseasonal sale which we unseasonal rains, which we saw the dip in the sales of air conditioners and air coolers. There's also a strong possibility that now I think this is not going to be something which is one of a kind. I think the weather is going to play erratic because of all the global warming and I think all what everybody is talking about. So there's a strong possibility that during the rest of the year, what sales we were experiencing in air conditioners, we may see uptake on that side also. Because if during summer you had monsoon, there's a strong possibility during monsoon also you'll have periods of no rains and heat going up. So I expect that we'll have over a period of time, if the weather plays strong, then we'll have sales of the air conditioners throughout the year in a much better way. As far as other categories are concerned, they are doing good. In fact, we have seen a huge growth in mobile category. We are seeing growth. We are seeing growth in laptops. We are seeing growth in television. The growth has come in. So consumer spending is there. Let's not worry too much.
All right, let's not worry too much. Consumer spending is there, so that's good. But, there have been so many yardsticks to compare with in recent times because of the disruptions. Last couple of years were disrupted because of COVID, and then this year itself, the first half of summer, when there was a heat wave, there was a fair amount of sales jump. Then there were unseasonal rains, and then we saw a decline in sales. And now that monsoon has been delayed, there has been an increase in sales. So could you give us a sense of, comparable numbers, so to say point to point? Is there a yardstick to measure by which would tell you whether there is a problem, there is no problem? Just give us basic, simple, understandable numbers.
So I'll tell you, simply put, I think for the last 2-3 years, everybody is put on standby. Okay, we'll not let you have any measurable numbers, measurable yardstick, because as you rightly said, February we saw summer peaking in earlier, and we saw good sales compared to last year, February. So I think now what is happening now, we should not see Q1 to quarter, last year quarter, this year quarter, last year, this month, same month, and this year, same month. I think the measurement should be only on the entire period. And that should be maybe, if not a year, annual, maybe a half-yearly period, and we'll come to know. Otherwise, the things are changing very fast. Consumer mindsets is there one thing for buying. See, one thing which the consumer durable industry has to acknowledge is post-COVID, there's a structural shift in the thought process of the consumers. Because and this I have repeated again and again, because during the COVID, people were only at home and only help which they had was consumer durables. Whether it was entertainment or whether it was doing the daily course of dishwashing, refrigerator, storage of food and everything. So one thing is very sure, post-COVID, structurally the consumer now thinks more about consumer durables, and they're always upgrading more than their capacity. Capacity in sense, not only from a finance point of view, but even if their home doesn't allow 2 refrigerators, there are places where people are making way for 1 more refrigerators. So I think consumer durable is here to grow. these are minor blips which will happen because it's a seasonal product. Air conditioner is a seasonal product. Basically, it's a product which people buy throughout the year, but during the season it peaks. During the season it peaks. So that's the way that we had the issue. But I think,
Mr. Gupta,
yes.
yes, that's exactly what I was going to ask you next. When you say we cannot compare the sales, say month on month or quarter on quarter, in the first half of this financial year, if you compare it to, say, normalized years, because as you earlier pointed out, COVID saw different consumption patterns. Last year was a different base. So if you compare it with the normalized levels, what kind of growth are you expecting industry-wide? And do you expect something like this or better numbers in the second half? Because we will have festive season as well.
So this year, definitely the second half is going to be better than the first half, because for the simple reason is this first quarter we got a lower down because of the season. So there's no doubt about it. We'll see a higher growth in the second half coming in, because at the end of the day, consumers are going to buy. Only thing is people, because the peak summer didn't happen, there were rains in between, they did not buy, but they are going to come back and buy. So second half is going to be definitely better. Right now, so what I see in this quarter, overall, if I'll see, we should see a growth of around 5 to 6% only. But next quarter, we can safely assume if everything remains okay, then at least 10 to 15% growth should be visible.
All right. And finally, for the first half of this calendar year so far, if you could give us a sense of growth that you've seen, growth or compression that you've seen across categories. You mainly operate in TVs, refrigerators, air conditioners, washing machines, and I presume you would have some other laptops and electronics. So if you could give us a sense of how all these categories have performed in the first half of this year, what do you expect in the second half of this year?
So basically, if you see in the first half of this year, or in the first half of this year, if you see, what we have seen is televisions had done well. On the quantity base, it has not grown so high, maybe 3 to 4%, but value terms, it has gone up by around 8 to 10%. Refrigerators has been on a, I would say, a little negative, because again, it's seasonal product, so it got affected. So we are seeing a refrigerator negative of around 3 to 5% in the first half. Washing machine has been more or less no growth scenario. And then the growth factors which have come in the digital part, where in mobile we have seen a growth of nearly 15 to 20% value-wise. And so have we seen a growth in laptops around 8 to 10% quantity-wise. So overall, if you see the value of the business, we are seeing a 10 to 12% growth as of now, and which we expect in the second half to value-wise, we should be growing at least 15 to 20%.
Please, you didn't say, Mr. Gupta. You didn't say ACs.
So ACs, we have seen a degrowth of around 10%. Overall, if you'll say, it will be a degrowth of 10% in this summer season.
Okay. All right, that was very helpful, Mr. Gupta. Thank you so much for joining us and clarifying that the slowdown that's been seen is only in the AC or the refrigeration category. Other than that, the categories are doing well. And thanks a lot for giving us industry trends as well. We'll do one thing, slip into a